Welcome to the Institutional Review Board Concepts and Resources presentation brought to you by the North Texas Regional IRB. This brief presentation will cover the following topics: an overview of IRB concepts, NTR IRB resources and guidance materials, and take-home messages. To better understand the requirements of IRB review, we will first need to consider the background and rationale for the modern regulations we have today. Similarly to when a house is built, a strong research project will also require a solid foundation. Therefore, here is a brief overview of IRB concepts and principles that govern human subjects research to provide you with that solid foundation. As you may know, the Institutional Review Board, or IRB for short, is a federally mandated committee tasked to protect the rights and welfare of human subjects within research. The North Texas Regional IRB oversees all human subjects research conducted by our partnering institutions. Our goal is not only to protect the subjects within your community, but also to help keep you compliant with the federal regulations. We are also available to answer your questions regarding the IRB process and to assist you with research design development based upon subject safety. So we are here for you. So why do we need IRBs anyway? The need for human subject research regulations and IRBs surged from a historical abuse of individuals in both biomedical and social behavioral research. Although discussing specific examples at length is beyond the scope of this brief video, these are a few examples which illustrate the need for ethical research oversight. Each regulation governing human subject protection was a direct result from an inappropriate management of research involving humans. The regulations attempt to correct or address these problems from the past. Our goal is to make you famous for your research, not because a regulation was named after you. Now that we have a better understanding of the need and basis for IRBs, how does the IRB conduct their review? The primary function of the IRB is to determine whether each human subject research study meets the regulatory criteria for IRB approval. The federal regulations have provided a specific framework for approving human subjects research. The criteria are outlined at 45 CFR 46.111. Here are the criteria for approval. While there are several components to the criteria for IRB approval, they are all based around two common elements: risks being minimized and sound research design. These elements are based upon the ethical principles of respect for persons and beneficence, which are found within the Belmont Report. We will dive further into these concepts. However, it is important to note that the federal regulations rule that the IRB is the only body authorized to make this evaluation for a given study. The federal regulations define minimal risk, and the task of the IRB is to determine whether a given study meets the definition of minimal risk. If a project does not meet this definition, it is considered greater than minimal risk. There are many different types of risks to consider when evaluating the risk level of a project: physical, psychological, social, financial, and informational. The IRB assesses risks and risk level in different ways, including the probability and magnitude of harm, known, suspected, and unknown risks, subject population, and situation and time. When the regulations refer to sound design and ethical research, this can be interpreted as the design of a study adding or subtracting safety and risk elements to the human participants. Because risks can often be hidden in the details of a study, it is important to provide the IRB with sufficient details about your project to ensure that risks are thoroughly minimized. Therefore, you need to carefully think through both what data you need in order to answer your research questions and what can happen to subjects to develop an appropriate balance of scientific needs and risk management. Remember, we are here to help you. We have lots of practical experience with designing ethical research. As mentioned, there are other criteria for IRB approval. To highlight a few, informed consent should be sought and appropriately documented for each subject, and there are adequate provisions to protect subject privacy and confidentiality. Again, you can refer to the full list at 45 CFR 46.111. Because risk and sound research design are abstract concepts, the IRB requires a step-by-step walkthrough of the proposed research procedures and processes to understand what the participant will experience. This will allow the IRB to make an informed evaluation of the risks to participants. So how do you provide the NTR IRB with this information? The NTR IRB has designed resources and templates to assist you in providing the information needed for an effective IRB review.
The NTR IRB offers a variety of resources for investigators who are conducting new human subject research studies. To access these resources, please visit the NTR IRB website. The first form that we would like to highlight is the Initial Consult Request form. This form is available on the NTR IRB website in the left-hand sidebar. You can use the Initial Consult Request form to request an appointment to meet with NTR IRB staff to discuss a new research project or to ask any other questions you may have related to protocol submissions. This can be particularly useful if it's the first time you're submitting a new project to the NTR IRB, or if you need general guidance regarding the forms that you need to submit. When filling out the form, please be sure to indicate how soon you need to meet with IRB staff. For example, in the next week or in the next month. This will help the staff schedule an appointment that works best for your project and timeline. Next, let's discuss the General Protocol Synopsis template. This template is available on the IRB Forms page. Please note that a protocol synopsis needs to be included in every new project submission. The General Protocol Synopsis template contains the topics that need to be included in your protocol synopsis for the IRB to conduct an effective review as required by federal regulations. We have created a resource called the Master Protocol Synopsis Guidance Sheet, which provides guidance and tips on how to complete the General Protocol Synopsis template. To access the guidance sheet, please click on the link. Depending on the type of research that you will be conducting, we have created a number of guidance documents to help you fill out the protocol synopsis with the information that is needed for your specific research study. For example, if your research project involves surveys, consult the Survey Guidance document. If your project involves the use of existing data, please consult the Studies Involving Existing Material Guidance document. This guidance document is particularly useful if your project involves the use of existing educational data. For projects that involve focus groups, please use the Focus Group Guidance document. This document contains guidance on the specific elements that need to be included in your protocol synopsis if your project involves a focus group. The Master Protocol Synopsis Guidance Sheet also contains links to other useful resources, including guidance on international research, recommended data storage and confidentiality language to include in your protocol synopsis, guidance on recruitment, guidance on informed consent, and guidance for projects that involve the use of protected health information and require a HIPAA authorization. Next, we are going to provide examples of the documents that need to be included in submissions for projects, focusing on our two different protocol synopsis templates, the NTR IRB General Protocol Synopsis template and the NTR IRB Protocol Synopsis for Research involving chart reviews. First, let's talk about the NTR IRB General Protocol Synopsis template. As noted earlier, the General Protocol Synopsis covers the majority of project types, such as clinical trials and other intervention studies, focus groups, interviews, survey projects, research repository studies, studies that use existing materials and/or data, and so on. You can also use the General Protocol Synopsis template if your study includes a combination of different study methods. Please note that we do have a specific protocol synopsis for studies which are only focusing on chart reviews, but more on that a little later. If you will be using the General Protocol Synopsis template, you will need to include the following documents in your submission: a wizard application form, also known as the NTR IRB new protocol application form, your completed protocol synopsis, CV for the principal investigator, screening documents, if applicable, consent-related documents, such as a consent form or a waiver of informed consent, recruitment materials, such as flyers, email scripts, social media scripts, survey instruments, if applicable, documents that will be used to follow up with the subjects, such as telephone scripts, follow-up letters, emails, and other documents which may need to be reviewed by the IRB, such as sponsor and/or coordinating site protocols for multi-site studies, or documents, letters, agreements, which may have been received from other institutions, as well as evidence of adequate training in human subject research, such as CITI for all key personnel. If your project involves use of subjects' identifiable health information, also referred to as protected health information, or PHI, please also submit a HIPAA research authorization or submit a request for a HIPAA waiver. Note that a HIPAA authorization form is used if it is feasible to obtain HIPAA authorization from your research subjects. Otherwise, you would submit a HIPAA waiver. These IRB forms are available in the Forms and Templates section of the NTR IRB website. Signed NTR IRB conflict of interest forms might also be required for all key personnel. Additional information about the conflict of interest form, including the form itself, is also available on the NTR IRB website. Please note that if your study will qualify for exempt category review, the NTR IRB conflict of interest forms will not be required. A quick reminder that if you will not be able to obtain informed consent from participants or will not be able to obtain written informed consent, you will need to submit either a request for a waiver of informed consent or a request for a waiver of documentation of informed consent. Please note that only certain situations allow for a full waiver of informed consent, such as if you are completing a study using data or materials that have already been collected for another purpose. Studies in which a waiver of documentation of informed consent might apply include situations where you would not be able to obtain the subject's signature on the consent form, or situations in which linking the individual to the study would cause them some type of harm. Both request forms, the waiver of informed consent and the waiver of documentation of informed consent, can be found on the IRB Forms page. Please remember to include an appropriate justification for any waiver request. If you have questions at any time regarding the documents needed for your submission, which is using the General Protocol Synopsis template, please do not hesitate to reach out to the NTR IRB staff. Next, let's talk about chart reviews. If your research will involve the analysis of more than one patient's medical records and/or charts, then you need to fill out and submit the Protocol Synopsis template for research involving chart reviews. Please note the chart review template is different than the General Protocol Synopsis template. The chart review template should only be used for research that involves chart reviews and should not be used for projects that are intended to be research registries or repositories. When submitting a new chart review study to the NTR IRB for review, please include the following items in your submission: a wizard application form, a completed protocol synopsis for chart reviews, a copy of the data collection sheet that includes the specific variables that will be analyzed for the project, evidence of adequate training in human subject research for all key personnel, and a copy of the principal investigator's CV. Please also submit documentation, such as a copy of an email or a signed letter of permission from the appropriate authority at the hospital or facility, authorizing access and review of the records. If the principal investigator has authorized access to the patient's records, this documentation does not need to be provided. Please note that signed conflict of interest forms might also be required for all key personnel. However, Most chart review studies meet the criteria to qualify as exempt category research, and therefore, conflict of interest forms are not required. One nice feature of the chart review template is that two important waiver requests are embedded within the template: the request for a waiver of informed consent and the request for a waiver of HIPAA authorization. Therefore, investigators do not need to fill out and submit separate waiver forms for these requests. This was an overview of the main documents that need to be submitted for new chart review studies. Additional documents might be required, depending on your specific project. We hope you have enjoyed learning about the IRBs, the federal regulations, and how to submit human subjects research projects to the NTR IRB. Here are the take-home messages we hope you have gained from this presentation. Your research is important to us because your research strengthens the community you serve. Our goal is to further enhance that service by ensuring that the rights and welfare of the people you are serving are protected. We are your IRB, and we are privileged to be a part of the service that you provide to your community. Because we are here for you, you can contact us for assistance. This is your IRB team with the NTR IRB. Here is our contact information. Thank you for watching this video, which was brought to you by the North Texas Regional IRB.